As the dawn crept over Fulton County, the offices that had been the epicenter of tension the previous day remained shrouded in a quiet unease. A subtle hum of vigilance that seemed to seep into every corner, every cubicle, every filing cabinet, as officials began to process not only the procedural outcomes of the raid but also the intangible psychological weight that lingered, the sense that even when the immediate legal actions concluded, the story was far from over, and that perception, narrative, and speculation had taken on lives of their own, amplifying every decision, every hesitation, every instinctive choice into a potential flashpoint for scrutiny or misinterpretation, and leaving the employees to navigate a complex matrix of legality, optics, and personal consequence that made ordinary administrative work feel like a high-stakes performance. Inside the administrative corridors, a palpable tension persisted as staff meticulously reviewed processes, double-checked documentation, and conducted quiet internal debriefings, aware that even procedural compliance could be reframed in ways beyond their control, and that the optics of every action mattered just as much as its legality, creating a dual layer of responsibility that was both operational and symbolic, and which tested their ability to maintain composure while simultaneously calculating the potential political, social, and professional ramifications of every step, a balancing act between precision, perception, and instinct that few outside the walls could fully understand. The reporter covering the story captured more than just the facts. They described the micro-expressions, subtle gestures, and fleeting moments of tension that revealed the human dimension of governance under pressure, showing how professionals instinctively adjusted their communication, posture, and workflow to manage both procedural duties and the weight of national attention, illustrating the extraordinary complexity of moments when ordinary public service is reframed as a centerpiece of political, legal, and narrative scrutiny, and how even routine acts became symbolic, loaded with meaning for those inside and outside the office. Analysts emphasize that the raid highlighted the multi-layered nature of contemporary governance, where procedural actions intersect with perception, narrative framing, and political interpretation, creating an environment in which fear, anticipation, and instinct become just as influential as law and policy, and where the emotional landscape of public servants plays a decisive role in how events unfold and how compliance and professionalism are maintained under extreme pressure. A subtle but profound reminder that democracy relies as much on human judgment and integrity as it does on codified rules. As discussions moved into internal strategy meetings, officials wrestled with questions that blurred the line between procedure and public perception, debating the safest ways to preserve data integrity, maintain transparency, and ensure procedural compliance, all while understanding that external narratives could transform these very actions into symbolic proof of competence or failure, and that even careful steps designed to mitigate risk could be reframed in real time by media coverage or political commentary, amplifying the stakes and highlighting the invisible pressures that weigh on those at the operational core of democratic systems. The fear was not just personal but systemic, as officials considered how their experiences might set precedents for future scrutiny, influence public trust, and shape expectations for transparency, accountability, and professional resilience, creating an environment in which operational excellence must coexist with strategic foresight, emotional intelligence, and an acute awareness of how every action could be interpreted by multiple audiences with differing motives, and how the balance between ethical responsibility and self-preservation becomes increasingly delicate in moments of national focus. By late afternoon, the narrative had shifted subtly but unmistakably as officials, journalists, and observers alike recognized that the raid, while procedural in execution, had become a lens through which broader societal questions about accountability, trust, and democratic resilience were being examined, and that the micro-level decisions made in Fulton County offices carried macro-level implications for public perception, political discourse, and institutional confidence, creating a long-term psychological and strategic impact that would reverberate far beyond the immediate investigation, emphasizing that in moments of heightened scrutiny, ordinary actors can find themselves shaping the narrative of democracy itself.